Good afternoon, everybody. I wanted to take a few minutes to explain the decision here to cancel for these next 2 weeks at Moundsville Baptist Church. I know that's not great news for anyone. I sincerely hope that all is returned normal, at least closely enough to be back together on April 5th, which is Palm Sunday. We'll certainly announce any news about that as we get closer to that date. I wanted to address something in light of canceling like this. I know that in times like these we can get confused. I see or hear a lot of this kind of discussion. Why would we cancel? Shouldn't we just have faith that God will take care of us? And those are honest questions, good questions, but I think the Bible helps us understand how to think through these things. Sometimes as I tried to figure out what to do, I thought about Mathew 6:25 to 34, and particularly those first few verses. Therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Then later down in verse 31, Jesus says, therefore do not be anxious, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? Even though this pandemic is a new issue for most of us here in America, the questions it raises are common. That question I mentioned earlier, shouldn't we just have faith that God will take care of us? Why would we cancel if we have faith? When we read these verses and we hear Jesus say, don't worry about what you will eat or drink or wear, do any of us interpret that to mean, for example, that we don't have to work anymore? When we read that, do we say, oh great, I can quit my job and do nothing. God is going to feed and clothe me. Why do I need to do anything? No, we don't interpret it that way. We know that's not what Jesus is saying. Jesus is saying, live your life, but know you can trust in me. In Acts 27, when another example, when Paul is on a ship that's about to sink, he says that an angel from the Lord told him in verse 24 that God will preserve the lives of everyone on board that ship. But then we find later in verse 31 that the means by which God accomplishes that is that none of them abandon ship. They all stay on board until they run aground on an island. In other words, we can see that God often uses practical means to bring about his promises of protection. Think about our own lives. Many of us own guns. We go to the doctor. We take our medicine if we're supposed to. We buy clothes. We lock our doors. We buy things like insurance. When we travel, we wear our seat belts, hopefully. We diet, try to take care of our bodies. Sometimes we don't do those things because we lack faith, right? Those things, those precautions and things like that are not evidence that we lack faith. We do those things because taking precautions in certain areas of our lives is normal and responsible. And so making the decision to cancel our gatherings and events for now is not out of fear or panic, but out of, I hope, that same attempt to try and take wise and responsible precautions due to the realities of life in a fallen world. And these provisions, I hope, would be God's means of protecting us from unintentionally or unknowingly infecting each other. We have so many elderly people in our church. We have many among us who are immune compromised and could have the virus transmitted to them by people who aren't even symptomatic yet. As I watch more and learn more, there have been such an increase in cases just in the last 24 hours. I know provisions are being taken all over the country. In other words, I think that the actions that are being taken are to keep there from being a major outbreak. And so I myself, I'm a diabetic, and if I understand the information correctly, that doesn't mean I'm more susceptible to catching the virus. It just means that if I do, it's much more dangerous for me. So we have to be very careful at my house right now and other places, and we aren't panicking, and we aren't even afraid. That's not really the issue. I'm simply trying to use the information I have to act as wisely and responsibly for you, my flock, as I can. And I know that God will take care of us. I don't question that at all. I know that whether we're sick or well, God will not leave or forsake us. I believe that God holds my family and I in his hands, but I still lock my doors. I still tell everyone to wear their seatbelts when we get in the car. I'm just not willing to risk your health and well-being on the premise that maybe we're overreacting. If in a few weeks' time or a month's time or more, I hope not, but if we were to look back and say, man, we really didn't need to cancel, we really overreacted, that would be wonderful. But I now, with the information we have, I just won't do that. I can't act based on those things, beloved. So the President of the United States and our governor advised that groups of 10 or more people not meet for 15 days. I know the CDC has recommended groups of 50 or more not meet for 60 days. I'd like to try to honor those things for your sakes, trusting that one of the practical ways God watches over his people is through the governmental authorities that he ordains and puts us under. And so my decision for us is not, by the way, any comment whatsoever or statement on what other pastors or churches decide to do. That's none of my business. I know each one of those pastors have to weed through a lot of information, make the best decision they can. So you and our church, our community, these things have to be my primary concern. I enjoy seeing you all very much. I really do. This is not fun. I enjoy gathering with you, and I'm disappointed that we won't be with each other. But these are strange times. This is new territory for all of us, and I want to act with wisdom and discernment here. But there's not a single doubt in my mind that Jesus Christ will watch over and care for each and every one of us. I'm not concerned about that. Over these next 2 weeks at least, the plan is to have Chuck Morrow, who recorded the video this past Sunday, who's been so gracious and helpful, record my Sunday sermons going forward as we're out so that we can get those online on our YouTube channel, on Facebook. When you see those links come up or direct others to those links, if you click on that link to go to YouTube, when you get to our YouTube page, you can click subscribe and the little bell beside that, the notifications button, so that whenever we do post new content on our church's YouTube channel, you'll get a notification, an email that it's up. Also, we'll be putting things, of course, on Facebook too, which you can just play directly. But for the most part, the sermons will probably be on our YouTube channel. They're a little longer, a little harder to record. But my plan is also to get maybe even some short video devotions out to all of you there on Facebook on a daily basis if I can. I'm working on that, trying to think through that. I'm not doing that because I think you all won't survive if you don't hear from me every single day. It's just I want to try to be sensitive to these times and the unique situation that we're in for us, so that people don't start to feel disconnected from this family. So maybe I can help some in those ways. I'll continue to be in the office working. That's where I am now, and I know June will also, as long as it's necessary, as long as she's able, provided none of us or anyone in our homes gets sick. The trustees here take such great care of our building and our facilities. They've been wonderful. Our deacons are thinking of you and praying for you. They're ready for ministry. You can call the church if needed, and we can put you in touch with them, or vice versa. They'll be reaching out to many of you proactively as well. But I'm praying for you. I really am. I'm praying for Moundsville. I'm praying for Glendale, for all of us here in the Ohio Valley. I don't want anything to happen to our people. Our sovereign God reigns from on high in every single moment and every single circumstance in this world. When Paul tells us in Philippians not to be anxious about anything, that command is not grounded in our own virtue, as though that's the point of it. It's grounded in who and what Jesus Christ is for us in the gospel of our salvation. That's why you don't have to worry about anything, because Jesus has you. And that's the best news in the universe, and nothing can change that. Nothing can take that from you. So I don't want you to be afraid. I don't want any of you to get sick. And I'm hopeful to see all of you again very soon. We'll be here. We'll be here. May God draw near to each one of you during this time. Thank you all so much for watching.